Hey guys, and welcome back to the Spruce and Linen channel. I'm Janelle, and today I'm going to show you how to do pile weave. This is another great way to add texture to your weavings, and unlike raya loops, where you're kind of adjusting the different lengths to give that organic feel, this is going to give you a really uniform and even texture. So let's get started. I just wove in a few rows of plain weave just as a base for this stitch, but we're going to just jump right into it. This is a really easy stitch, so you're just going to plain weave all the way across. And leave yourself a good amount of slack there. We'll tighten it up at the end. So you're gonna need a small dowel, you could use a pencil, you could even use like a tapestry needle like this to do this, but basically the thicker the stick that you're using, the bigger the loops. So all you're gonna do is every other string here, you're just going to start wrapping that around your stick or dowel. Now you have to be really careful not to tighten things up too much when you're doing this, because it's going to really want to suck in the sides of your weaving. So once you've got that all the way down, I'm just going to make sure it's not too tight over here. But then you can kind of snug up those last loops. Make sure that's pressed down. And then you're going to go back down with plain weave, the opposite of what you just did for the loops. And I'm going to do, let's see here. So you can decide how many rows of plain weave you want between each row of the pile weave, but I would like the loops of my pile weave to be staggered. So I'm actually going to do 2 rows of plain weave, and then on the third I'll do loops again. So now I'm going to pull the dowel out. I'm going to squish that down. And this time I'm going to work from right to left, because that's where the slack of my yarn is. Now you can do this with any thickness of yarn. Just depends on the effect that you'd like to go with. And like I said, the bigger the dowel, the bigger the loop. So depending on what kind of texture you're wanting, you can get a bigger or smaller dowel. Depending on how dense you want your pile weave, you might only want to do 1 row of plain weave between each row of the actual loops. But I'm liking how this is turning out. It's not overly dense, and I am using a thicker yarn, so I think it looks good that way. But as with everything in tapestry, you can really play around with it and make it your own. You could switch colors so that you have like different colors of stripes within your pile weave. You can see that on the left there I'm getting a little bit tight. So once I have those loops made, I'm just going to try to pull some slack back down this way so I'm not sucking in the side there. That looks a little better. I'm gonna squish that down. Make sure that's tight, and then more plain weave. I'm already running out of yarn, so you can see that this is a stitch that takes up quite a bit of yarn. But as you can see, we're getting this nice texture. I'll try to kind of tip it up so you can see how it's sitting up from the plain weave, so it really sticks out. And again, If I used a really small one, that's gonna be an even more subtle texture. So I'm gonna do a few more rows and show you what it looks like after that. And that is pile weave. You can see that it's a pretty easy stitch to do. It takes a little time and it takes a lot of yarn, but it gives you this really nice uniform looped texture. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications when I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Different than rye knots. What am I saying? Pile weave. Looks like a teeny tiny carpet.